June.
We're live?
Yep.
We are live now.
Good evening and welcome to the Joshua Johnson Council. We are one of the oldest support groups at a museum of art for Black diaspora art and Black artists. And we look forward to sharing this evening with you, to present Schaun Champion, and also we want to invite you to be involved with us in the future. If you like what you see tonight, know that we meet monthly on the second Thursday of the month. We'll be online for now, and we hope soon to get back into the Baltimore Museum of Art. We look forward to working together, and we invite you also to consider not just joining us here on Facebook, but also joining us as a member of the BMA and a full membership in the Joshua Johnson Council. Tonight, please watch the chat because that's where you can put your questions for the artists or questions for us. And we're following along with the BMA's chat as well as the JJC's chat here on our Zoom. I'm going to pass this now and thank you for coming. Rose?
I'd like to welcome everybody who took the time out of their busy schedule and on such a beautiful day to join us for our JJC talks. And you're in the right place because if you're an artist, an art lover, museum goer, educator, collector, student, docent, and anybody who's interested in art, you're in the right place tonight. And I'd like to invite you to join our group. I mean, we've been around for 36 years, the JJC, which is the Joshua Johnson Council. And if you're interested in being a member, you can sign up for a membership. It's $40 for individuals, $15 for students. If you're a couple, $80. And it includes this talks like what you're going to hear tonight, visits to artists' studios, and excursions throughout the year. But first you would have to join the Baltimore Museum of Art. So you would join the Baltimore Museum of Art because the JJC is an affiliate of the Baltimore Museum of Art. And you can call 443-573-1789, or you can look us up online. We would love to have you to join our organization. We're doing great things. We're broadening the experience in Baltimore so people can see what's going on with art that is about the African diaspora. I'll be coming back at the end of the presentation and I'll give you some more information. But again, thank you for joining us tonight. You will enjoy.
Thank you, Rose. You're the best. Folks, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dave Issa. I'm the manager of community engagement here at the BMA. This is JJC Talks. This was our COVID pandemic pivot in taking the work that we've been doing for 36 years and making it very public for everyone to see. And it's been beautiful that we've now seen folks tuning in to the amazing artist talks that we're hosting from across the country. Tonight is no exception. We've got Schaun Champion here with us tonight, who many of you have seen her work, know her work, love her work. You may have seen her portraits grace the cover of magazines. You may have seen her work going viral on Instagram. You may have been moved by the beauty, the stillness, the powerfulness behind all of her work, or you may have gone to Ace Hardware and seen a massive mural on 30th and Greenmount that recently went up in collaboration with Gaia. Her photographs, they have a magic to them that I think you'll learn a little bit more about this evening, but it's not something that anyone can do. Schaun has an ability to pull things out of her subjects that her photos breathe and teem with life. So I can say for the entire JJC, we're blessed and really honored to have you here with us this evening. Folks, everybody who is paying attention, please type your questions for Schaun in the chat. Schaun is going to go through her artist talk, and then we will go to a live Q&A to hear a little bit more about her process and all the amazing things she has lined up. So without further ado, it's time for me to stop talking, and I'm going to pass it to Schaun. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much, first of all, everybody, for coming out or signing on to see what I have to talk about. I am truly grateful that anyone is interested in my work and the process in which I get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing. Okay. So can everybody see it? What's going on? Awesome. So like Dave said, my name is Schaun, and I'm an artist and photographer here in Baltimore. And I got started at a very young age, and I just want to kind of walk you through it. So I'm going to get started here with a little bit about me. I was born in Columbia, Maryland, and I moved to Baltimore around the age of 11. I'm a self-taught photographer who received her first camera from my father at the age of 8 years old. And I don't know if you guys remember those like 110 cameras with the cubes on them, and everybody had those. So that was one of the first cameras that my father got me. And this image right here, which I have several of throughout my life, actually, it was the first selfie that I ever took on film. And I think I'm about 8 or 9 years old in this image. And I actually unconsciously kind of take pictures like that all the time. So I have several throughout my life. My work is centered around the quiet observations of humans, anthropology, more specifically Black life, because I am a Black woman and I belong to a Black family. And everything that happens within that family and that community is something that I think is important for me to document. I'm heavily influenced by my family, like my father, my mother, whose dream job was to become a photographer and travel the world and drive a MG midget. So I'm going to go ahead and live that dream for her. I am also a musician. I play the flute, piccolo, saxophone, trombone, and currently learning the cello. I watch a lot of classic films with my family, and I travel a lot thanks to my family as well. I use both analog and digital cameras to create intentionally cinematic and honest imagery that illustrates the drama within the familiar while exploring themes of diversity. So again, I got my start on analog cameras from my father, and just all of the movies that he watched, all of the classic films like Oklahoma and all of the Westerns and West Side Story with my mother. So the way that my imagery is influenced is by those films right there. So a quote that I admire is that of Annie Leibovitz. And she said, when I say I want to photograph someone, what I really mean is that I'd like to know them. Anyone I know, I photograph. So a part of my process is disarming my subjects. And it's very important to me to care about my subjects. I need to feel something. A piece of me actually probably loves a little part of you. From maybe the wrinkle in your nose to the way that you smile or you smirk or anything like that. But once I get to know you, it helps me kind of see how I want to view you. It's very important for me to have these very intimate moments with the person that I'm photographing, because I want to capture their true self and how I see them. So that's a little bit about how I approach this. You guys have to excuse me. This is like I don't do public speaking all the time. So this is very, very new to me, and I appreciate everybody being super patient. So my influences are, of course, Bradford Young. I think he's one of the most brilliant cinematographers that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and working with Amy Leibovitz because of her muted tones and again, the way that she approaches just getting to know someone before she takes a photograph. Of course, Gordon Parks is a heavy influence. I enjoy the way that he tells stories, and that's something that I want to do when I'm photographing anyone, when I'm in any space. It is just me observing the people, the humans, the interactions, the landscape, the plants, anything, and how they're interacting with one another. And of course, the amazing Carrie Mae Weems. I love the way that she centers Black women. I love the way that she uses available and practical lighting. And it's her storytelling that's very simple to me and not overcomplicated. Of course, Roy de Carava. I enjoy the muddiness of his images, and it's very quiet, and you almost feel like you're kind of in the room wherever he is, and that's the way that I would like to come across in my own work. Herman Leonard, of course, Marilyn Nance, who is a MICA graduate. Adrienne Raquel, I enjoy as a new contemporary artist who also incorporates the same things that I do, that nostalgia, that vintage look, and kind of making it her own. And of course, Imogen Cunningham and her use of flowers and environment, and the way that she approached the fact that anybody can have these experiences. Everyone can interact with nature and with each other. So I really appreciated that as well. So my tools, analog cameras, digital cameras. You can see the list here, but one of the fun facts about me is that I actually name my cameras. Everybody knows that when I come in, I usually talk about somebody named Alice. Alice is my Canon 6D, and she has been with me for years. She's missing parts. They're probably in like Cuba or some other country, I'm not sure, but she's peeling, she's cracked in places, and she still gives me the most beautiful images. And then I have Frank, and then I have Big Bertha behind me, who is a Mamiya RB67 and gives me some really lovely images. And my new camera, Jill, who is a mirrorless, and she's currently working hard to give you guys the images that you enjoy so much. When it comes to tools, I don't feel like I need to have the top of the line equipment. I believe that a studio can be anywhere. The world is my studio. And equipment does not define me. You can have the cheapest like camera and have fun with it. It really is just about the experience. And also the way that I view things is shaped by the tools that I have access to. When I was younger, I didn't have access to all of the equipment that you see in these high-end studios. I just had the sunlight and my camera, and that's usually what I show up with when I enter spaces. So a lot of those images that you see are all mostly natural light images. There's no additional equipment. So I'm gonna get a little bit into my work. And this is a picture of Larry. Hi, Larry, I hope you're watching. This is a series called Ika. It is a play on the story of Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun. And the reason why I wanted to do this, at first I wanted to do a body series, and then it just kind of, like with all of my shoots, kind of morphs into something else because I shoot very organically. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was during COVID and during the Black Lives Matter protests, there were a lot of people who were going to protests and marching and doing their part. And I had to sit with myself and ask myself, am I doing my part for my community? What am I contributing? Do I want to go to these protests? And I realized that there were enough people doing that. And my part was to show the other side of that. And that's the Black joy that we have, and not basing my art in trauma, but taking that trauma and turning it into something beautiful. I got started taking photographs of my family. This is my little cousin Kennedy, and she is adorable. She's amazing and creative, and is also a brown girl with a camera. But that's kind of how I got started, just photographing baseball events. This is after a football game, and they came over and everybody got in the pool, and it was just, you know, how do I keep these moments? How do I treasure these moments? And when people are gone, these are the only things that you really have left over. And her father did pass away 1 year ago yesterday. So it's very important. Pictures are very, very important to me. And another cousin who is in this picture right here, we are in Havana, Cuba. Part of how I got started was Fluffy Pot postcards. A lot of people who might be tuning in might have known that as my Instagram handle. So it started out with me documenting my family, my community, and my travels. And then in 2011, I started sharing my travel images featuring my cousin, who you see right there. And I wanted to share them with more than just my family. So I created Fluffy Pot postcards as a personal blog to share my perspective of the world. I began documenting the travels of the diaspora and doing personal branding, things like retreats, and doing like photo sessions there, or documenting people who wanted to have retreats, and also just being that person who goes along on trips with you, which I have done that before and almost like freaked out because I was on the largest suspension bridge in Canada. But documenting people's trips so that they can enjoy their trips and not have to worry about taking a selfie and, you know, kind of missing it. And you only see the selfie, you don't actually see the world that they're experiencing. So I started doing that. And the first true patrons of my business were Black women-owned businesses. So I really appreciate them. People like Michelle Stafford, Mecca Woods in Brooklyn. I was traveling all over the place. And these Black women were supporting me both financially and sharing my work. So it's very important that I honor them. After I was coming back from these travels, I started asking parents around me, when was the last time they traveled, and when was the last time that they, you know, took their kids traveling, and what does that look like to them? And they started talking about how difficult it was to do that. And I wanted to do something to get passports into the hands of underrepresented youth in Baltimore. So I started a project called A Looking Glass Project, because I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland, apparently. And so here at the Looking Glass Project, we use photography as a medium and anthropology as the lens. A Looking Glass Project will foster creativity, resourcefulness, self-expression, responsibility, citizenship, and philanthropy. So we wanted the kids to get out of each other's sections. Like, there were kids that were a part of the program who had never been to East Side or West Side, and vice versa. So we wanted to be able to help them explore not only their own city, but take photographs of their own city and share them with the rest of the world, while also experiencing the rest of the world. And about 2 years ago, I began a partnership with the Youth Arts Institute at the James E. Lewis Museum of Art on Morgan State University's campus. So right now, I'm actually teaching photography to students 8 through about 16, 17. So that I really enjoy that. They love it. They make me so happy and they make beautiful images. Here, part of my work is documenting change, documenting life and families, and documenting voices and stories. So earlier in the year, I was able to go out for Google and document the March on Washington. The atmosphere there was actually really palpable. People trying to be seen, people trying to be heard, people trying to document. It was just a very intense assignment that I was getting. Again, documenting families. Not only do I document my own family, but I document a lot of the families around Baltimore as well, and in other states. One of my favorites is I got to document Bradford Young's family, and that was one of the most beautiful family sessions that I ever had. It's really important to me to capture that as purely as possible. And on the right, we have Kundwani Fidel, which was on the cover of Baltimore Magazine's Listening to Black Voices issue. Some of the publications that I've worked with are Cultured Magazine, the New York Times, Bloomberg, Baltimore Magazine, Rollaire Magazine out of London, and The Hollywood Reporter most recently. This is my image of Bradford Young, and it was one of the first publications to really start putting my name out there, and I really appreciate Bradford for that shoot. I can't honestly remember all of the publications that I've done right now, but it has been quite a few, and it's really, really exciting to be able to tell people's stories and capture them in this moment in time, especially with so much change that is happening. I believe Rollaire Magazine, I'm the first Black contributor to the magazine. Very exciting, telling a story about Black life and life in Baltimore and what it's like to be a cyclist. It was very important for me to do that story. I get letters from all over the world about that story, but mostly I took it on because my dad used to be a cyclist, and I just wanted to do something to kind of, maybe tell his story in a different way. Here again are some more some more images from one of my personal projects. It's called The Black Bouquet. We'll talk a little bit about that, but these have been featured in a few publications recently. Shout out to Andrea Cole, Alex, and Vivian. Again, I think I already explained this, but this is the international publication Rollaire Magazine, telling the story of Christopher Jones and what it's like to be a Black cyclist in Baltimore and just in America in general. Sorry if I'm skipping too fast. I have done a lot of international work and travel. I don't always stay in Baltimore. Before COVID times, I was traveling quite a bit to different states, different countries, Arizona, Florida, no, not Florida, just all over the place, North, East Coast, all that kind of stuff. And also London, working with private brands, mostly clothing brands. And I have lots of travel photos, which I will probably start sharing because that's a side that people have not really seen much of from me, unless you've been following me for quite some time. I've had work from my personal project, A Black Bouquet, which has been featured on NBC's Keenan. So if you're watching, you might be able to see one of them. NPR, a couple commercials that I cannot discuss at this time, and the cover of a scientific journal, which will be coming out soon. and some environmental exhibitions and articles that will be happening within the next couple of months. And this image right here is from my Black Bouquet series. And it is one of the most asked for out of the series as well. So moving on to my exhibition work, the first large exhibition that I did was at the James E. Lewis Museum of Art. And it is called Thin Spaces, the Invisible Work of Black Women. And I did this exhibition with a friend of mine named Alexis Chinnery, and I hope she's watching. She's amazing. And part of this was just my love letter to Black women. I wanted them to know that I see them and we see each other. And I wanted to let them know that their work does not go unnoticed. Thin Spaces is about the places on Earth where heaven and earth kind of collide and miracles happen. And I was thinking about all the people who we now consider essential workers that go unnoticed. All of the things that happen behind the scenes that you just assume kind of get taken care of, when in fact, somebody is actually working very hard to do the work for you. One very large example would be Stacey Adams. So all the work that she did in Georgia is a prime example of the invisible work of Black women. And a quote that is very important to me when thinking about Thin Spaces is the quote from Amma Yassin. If you have the privilege of being born a Black woman, it is my belief that it is part of your divine mission to liberate yourself from all external and internalized oppression and thereby liberate the world. So with all the work that Black women do, I feel like we do this not only for ourselves and for our community, but everyone kind of benefits from the work that Black women do to take care of themselves and to take care of their loved ones and to take care of the people around them. So that quote is very important to me. A Black Bouquet, shout out to Walker. I started on this project about now 3 years ago, 2018. I had always wanted to do something similar to this, but Walker asked me to come out and do, I think it was a fundraising project for his farm. And we were getting bouquets and putting them on people's heads and just kind of taking the picture, and it kind of morphed into something else because I started questioning, where are the Black flowers? Where do they exist? And why don't we ever see them? And I started doing a little bit of research, and I realized that they do exist. They just require a certain level of care, a certain level of attention to help them grow and thrive. And I wanted to do something specifically Baltimore related to show that despite the conditions, some of the most beautiful things and some of the most beautiful people grow from that, come from that. And it can grow, a beautiful Black flower can grow from any circumstance, and together they create a Black bouquet. And again, my work is very Black woman centered, and it will always be Black woman centered because of who I am and who raised me. There are definitely several projects that are coming soon that will be Black women centered. The first one is, of course, Thin Spaces. This is a part of that exhibition. And then we have a Black Bouquet, and then something soon called The Target and the Shield, but we will not go into that right now. We'll wait until I announce it. And then these are just some of the beautiful images that, well, the ones that I feel are extremely beautiful, and the people who are in them that I find so beautiful. And yeah, that's just kind of my love letter to Black women, Black art in Baltimore, and everywhere, everywhere that I get to go. But thank you guys for rocking with me. And I think that's it.
And thank you very much. That was an amazing display and a lovely body of work. There was a question in the chat that we'll go over. It says, did you study floral arrangement, or do you bring a florist into your work creating the amazing crowns?
I did not study flower arrangements. I wish I was as good as Sarah, but the collaborations I'm sorry, what is the question again?
It's did you study floral arrangement, or do you bring in a florist into your work creating?
I bring in a florist, and I'm so sorry. I feel like I skipped out on so much more information because I also do a lot of collaborations, and that is one of them. It is Sarah from Pomona Floral. She comes out, she does amazing flower sculptures. We've also had donations from Flor Diave, which is on a Black woman-owned flower shop that is on North Avenue. They sent me the most beautiful, so the ones that you see on Vivian are the most beautiful arrangements, or flowers that I had seen in a while. But yeah, I get florists to do all of that work.
Okay, very good. So another question is, how has the pandemic changed your work, or how you operate in the everyday over the last year?
How has it changed my work? It's allowed me to kind of focus because there was so much downtime. I think for the first couple of months, I just put my camera down and I didn't do anything. And it allowed me to step away from it and relax and just kind of observe the way that I would if I didn't have a camera. And I just kind of waited to be inspired, and it happened. The Black Bouquet series was the perfect time to get started because I wasn't doing anything else. So why not get started on some personal projects?
Nice. Another question, out of all the places that you visited, what place was the most photogenic?
Ooh. I want to say Cuba. Cuba, and maybe Paris. Paris is a close second.
Okay. There's a comment. Tracy says your pictures are fantastic. Thanks. Yeah, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Says you're fantastic. Well, you are. The body work we just saw is absolutely gorgeous. So I understand you've been doing some murals with Gaia. Can you talk about that and that process?
Yes. So let's see. After the first Black Bouquet series that I did with Walker, Gaia reached out and he was interested in painting it. So the first painting of Walker actually went up at the W Hotel in DC, and it was a really great experience. And then during the right as the pandemic started, we had been talking about doing a collaboration for a show in the Netherlands. So we started working on that together, and then Waverly came up, and we wanted to be inclusive and have people from all backgrounds included. And we got in the studio, shot it. I was responsible for getting most of the models, and I picked all the people that I thought were amazing, especially Kennedy's big face on the on the side and her smile. And she grew up around there, so that's important to me. So yeah, we just got started, and it was a wrap from there. And that is actually continuing. So we have another wall that's coming up in Chicago. And there's also a mural in North Carolina as well, near the U Hill Apartments.
Nice. Some other comments. Eula says, hey, Sean Puffy.
Who?
Eula says, hey, Sean Puffy.
Okay. Hi, Eula.
And Andrea says, Larry's mom is here. Question.
Oh, yes. I love her. Hi.
Says, has your global travel affected how you view Black beauty?
My global travel? No. Affected it in a positive way, yes, because I've seen so many beautiful versions of us, so many different beautiful tones and personalities, and just the way that we interact with each other, especially in places like Havana. It was, I felt like family there. Like I was very well taken care of there.
Okay. Yvonne says, love a Black bouquet, bookends Kehinde Wiley's work. Gwen says, Dave mentioned a mural on Greenmount Avenue. What is it about and have you done others? And I think you just talked about your murals, but anything you want to add to that?
I didn't hear the question.
No, I'm sorry. It says, Dave mentioned you had a mural on Greenmount Avenue.
Yes.
What is it about and have you done others?
Yes. So it's a version of my Black Bouquet series with Gaia's touch on it. We incorporated like I believe there's a trolley. So that has to do with that neighborhood there. So yeah, there's more coming, probably 3 more coming, maybe more. Hopefully I can continue to do it. It's really fun to be able to collaborate. And I don't know any other photographers who are collaborating with muralists on that level. So it's very, very fun, very interesting.
That's great. I do have a question, and that is about one of the things I love about photography is the photographer's ability to create a texture that doesn't happen with every photographer. And there's certain textures that come across in your work that I think are absolutely amazing, and how you, I don't know if you intend to go for those things, like your little cousin with the water droplets on her face. It almost becomes another dimension of the work. So is there a process or technique that you use in order to create that texture in the piece?
I expose for the light. So it helps me bring out those textures. But I focus on it as well. So if there's something in particular, like the water drops, those are the things that fascinate me, the very simple details of what's happening in front of me. So yeah, it's very intentional. I'm not sure if I always have a technique when it comes to it. Sometimes it's just what I'm observing and that's what I find beautiful, and she can just come up from out of the water. I even have one of her brother, and water's literally like glazing over him. So yeah, I just found what was happening very interesting.
I think it creates another level of artistry in how you take photos. There's a difference between taking a picture and creating an artful photograph. And I think you do that, or at least I appreciate that when I see a photograph, that I can actually see texture, and that creates an emotion from looking at that work. So that's what I saw in the work there. So let me just go over to question. Ashley says, can you describe how you get your models to be vulnerable with you?
How do I get my models to be vulnerable? Number one, music. So I'm a musician, so music is very important to me. And I think music helps you let down barriers. So I also try to talk to them maybe one-on-one about what they're going through, what's happening, how do they feel about themselves, or, it's just kind of talking through it. When I first decided to kind of come out of, just shooting personal stuff, I did a residency at Sunspot Studios, shout out to Sunspot Studios, and I was able to really dive into creating those personal relationships. So I did like a couch therapy session where some of the models would come in and we would just sit and talk. And it might have been awkward to them because people are used to coming into a studio space and there's lights and there's this and there's that, and it's very businessy. But no, we just sat on the couch and just talked about, how are you feeling when you were 12? Like, what did you do? When was the last time you rode a bike? What was the last time, you had these very good feelings? So I try to hold on to that nostalgia and share that with them. But definitely music to kind of get you in the mood, relax, vibe. It really depends on my mood and that person's mood as well, but I really just want to get to know you. So that's the process, is getting to know you. That's important to me.
Where do you normally shoot or prefer to shoot?
Outside, the world. World is the studio. You can shoot anywhere. I love the sun. I love natural light. I love the way that shadow falls on the face. I love hiding. And that's important to me, to have agency and autonomy of, hiding. And I don't know, just outside, but there's some studio spaces that I've shot and they're really cool. I do BTS work. So I've been inside some pretty cool studios recently.
I really want to explore a little bit of that hiding thing. Like, what is that? I mean, how do you hide as a photographer?
Behind the lens. There is, I have an appreciation for shadow. And, everybody goes through their own esteem and self-image issues. And so do I. So part of me taking control of that is to stay hidden. I don't want to be really seen. I want the work to be seen. I want you to see what I see. So the only way that you're going to see that is to see what I see and not see me. That's not what's important.
Do you discover new things after you produce the work? I mean, even though you shot the image, do you also discover new parts of the work after you looked at it again later?
Absolutely, all the time. And I'm also in the process of photographing myself, and what that feels like. And I share some of that on my stories if anybody pays attention sometimes. And I will hide things in my stories just to, explore maybe that corner of whatever it is that I'm photographing. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
You did, you're great. So there's some more comments. It says there's so much emotion that comes from your photographs. It's magic. That's what Ashley said. Earlier you mentioned, I know she's one of the subjects. Earlier you mentioned that you travel with families and groups to take photos so they can enjoy their experience. What do you get from that? And by that, I mean, what from the experience carries over into your work that changes it?
It's my own personal movie. You become my story. So I get to watch you enjoy yourself. I get to watch you enjoy life. I get to watch, this very personal story that nobody else is going to be a part of but us. So it's kind of like, being a part of of a story.
Gotcha. So Tangela asked, what medium do you like photographing more, black and white or in color?
That's a tough question. I don't share. So someone asked recently for me to share more of my my black and white work. I really do love black and white, but I also love color. I really love taking very muted or vintage colors and seeing how I can update them. So I do love color. Color is so fun. But there are definitely, you guys will see definitely more of my black and white work. I do not share that enough, and I absolutely love it. I just recently shot Rada Blank from the 40-year-old
Oh
version.
yeah, I loved that. I love that. That's good.
And Elisa Blount Moorhead in black and white. And
Oh.
like, I wanted to cry when I looked at them because they were just so, she looks so pretty. She looks so beautiful.
Did you have that on your Instagram, the photo of Radha?
Elisa, yes.
I thought
Both of them. Both
I
of
thought
them.
I saw it on your Instagram page. I told you it was an Instagram stalker, but for your work. Let's see. So so do you have a studio?
I do. I'm in it. It is in Mount Vernon, right above Adorn Furniture. So I get to play with furniture downstairs.
Nice.
And when she's not looking. But yeah, I'm in the middle of Mount Vernon right now. I love it. I get beautiful light in here. I have like open wood ceilings and like exposed brick. It's very rustic and I absolutely adore it.
I love what you have as a backdrop there. So
Thank you. I like plants.
very, very nice. One more comment is there's a mystical quality to the Black Bouquet series, a connection with nature. Can you talk about that?
A mystical quality. Thank you. That's awesome to hear. Honestly, I know some people think that there's this very deep thing that's happening, and there is on a certain level. But a lot of it is just us going out and having fun and enjoying each other's company. Depending on which one that you're looking at, we were probably goofing off. And in other instances, there was this whole story that was happening in my head. Again, I'm very imaginative, so I'm telling a story. And that person is the people are actually bringing that out of me. It's not me, it's them. Nobody is dolled up. There's no glam squad. You show up as you are. So everything that you see in those images is actually the energy that they brought to the shoot.
Wow. Wow. And I was actually going to ask you that about placing the crown on the head. If you could actually feel, or there's an experience, a shift that may happen. You go from showing up and then having this bouquet placed on you.
I think they do.
Yeah.
We've had people cry.
Yeah.
And there was one session where it started raining, and it was like this very misty rain. And instead of going inside, we just shot in the rain, and it was probably one of the most like beautiful, freeing experiences. We took our shoes off and we just walked in the rain and played.
Right.
And that's what you see is us just appreciating, whatever it is that we're doing.
So do you move with the work as the work comes to you? I just get this sense that it's such an organic experience.
It's absolutely
and
an
I feel
organic.
that in the work that you're just going with a feeling, and then wherever that takes you is where you end up with the subject, if I could call him the subject.
A lot of the work that I share is definitely an organic experience. We have the bones of what we're trying to do, but there is no strict rule that we're following. And I've probably said this, if you've come to the studio, there might be a moment where I'm like, the moment is struck, like it's here. It's here. We're just kind of wandering in these like woods or whatever, and the moment is here. So it just kind of comes. And in that moment, maybe we'll be laughing. Maybe somebody fell like 5 minutes after, or a few seconds after that photo was taken. It's really just kind of being with that person. And this is how I see you. This is how I look at you organically if I just met you.
Yeah. So are you scouting locations? Like, I mean, you've gotten some locations that look completely exotic. Like it could be around the corner in a park in a place I've never been, but it's in the city. I mean, do you scout those things, and then this beauty comes from this place, almost like a hidden secret garden place. I mean,
Yes.
like,
Yes. That's how I want it to feel. Like we're hidden. We're out on our own adventure. I do location scouting, but also some of them are in a parking lot. There's probably, I can point to a couple that are in a parking lot that you guys have probably been in. And it's just the way that we frame it. But I've gone to Silburn quite a few times. I enjoy that location because there's so many places to shoot there. And I feel like it'll be a while before I run out of places to shoot in that area. But yeah, I try to just scout, and then sometimes it just kind of happens.
Nice. Well, there's another question. When you photograph groups, families, etc., during the travel, do they dictate the script, scenes, etc., or is it up to you, or both?
I get all the creative control. I promise you, like they usually come and oh man, they're like, what do you want to do? They might have a location in mind that is, special to them. But for the most part, they let me kind of do my thing. And again, it's the same kind of situation. It doesn't matter if you're alone or with your family. We're going to all hang out, get to know each other. And probably by the end of the shoot, we're family now. So that's just how it goes.
Yeah. So another question is, do you shoot in RAW or JPEG?
Raw.
Gotcha. That has to be another photographer asking that question.
Yes, I shoot raw.
So have you ever, I know you said you like to get to know the person that you're photographing. Has there ever been a person that you didn't connect with? And you're like, I can't do this shoot. You know what I mean? I can't, or it didn't turn out the way you thought because the connection wasn't there.
Yes, that has happened. The first one, no. Second part, yes. They like the results, but for me, I was very taken out of the moment. So a lot of things that happen that take me out of the moment is if I feel like I'm being observed. As the observer, I can't concentrate. So if you're trying to snap a picture of me or you've got stuff up, it's no longer intimate to me. So that can take me out of my element. And for me, the pictures will not turn out as well. But yeah, for the most part, no, I just I just kind of get in it.
Gotcha. Okay, so somebody said, what does that mean? I guess, what does RAW or JPEG mean? I told you it had to be a photographer to ask the question.
Oh, RAW retains all of the information in the image, as much as possible for me to manipulate and do some color grading, which is changing the colors of the image or enhancing the colors.
Okay. All right. So what's next for Schaun Champion? I know you talked about some publications, but any other work or opportunities, experiments that you're working towards or working on in this new studio space that you're in?
I am. So of course, like you said, publications. I do have a couple of new personal projects that I'm working on, putting together, and very excited about that. Before my cousin passed away, I was working on a short film, and that included his kids. So I have decided to move forward on that. I am, talking occasionally with Bradford Young about that, and looking for Kodak sponsorship. So that is coming. I also just finished the Visit Baltimore campaign. So those will be coming up around the city very soon.
What was that sponsorship you were looking for again? You can say that one more time because we got a lot of people.
Kodak. yeah, Kodak. Get some stuff, Kodak. I would love to, I would love to get some Kodak sponsorship. I do shoot, analog, so it gets expensive. So, and especially because I will be filming, that gets really expensive as well. And I have friends who can help me bring those visions to life. But yeah, Kodak sponsorship. Make it happen, guys.
Well, you have the platform. Why not put it out there? All we can do is ask, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
Tracy says we actually see more of you through your work. We get visual representation of your perspective and how you think. That's everything. So that.
Thank you, Tracy.
So those are some exciting things that you have coming. So how would people get in touch with you? How can the community support you and your work?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's my name, Schaun Champion. It's SCHAUN, Champion, CHAMPION. The same thing with my website, is schaunchampion.com. And pay attention to my stories. I know a lot of people sign up for the Black Bouquet series, but you have to catch it in the stories. And you can be a part of it. There's so many other projects that I'll be working on that I would love to get community, participation in. So yeah, that's where they can find me, on my website and on Instagram.
Okay, and so some of the work is for sale, or that you.
Yes, some of the work is on sale. I do have 2 artsy exhibitions that are coming up in the next couple of months. So
Can't leave that out.
Yeah, can't leave that out. So I'll be sharing about those again on my website and on social media. And I think that's it. Did I answer all of the questions? I'm not sure.
I think you got all the questions. Let me scroll and make sure. Yep, I think we did get all of the questions. I just cannot thank you enough for sharing your work and meeting the person behind the beautiful, beautiful bouquet that you presented to us and the world, because you're on Instagram and that's everywhere. So just being able to meet you and have you talk about your work and what drives you, learning who your inspirations are, the things that you really care about, it comes through in your work. It really does. And so it's almost like the viewer said, we get to know you through the work that you produce, because you can actually see the tenderness in the photographs. You can see that texture that creates the emotion that you would get by viewing it. And so the personality of you shows up in your work very strongly. And so for that's the story. That's a comprehensive story of art and artists. So I can certainly appreciate that and your time today with us. I thank you for that. It wasn't too bad now, was it?
No. Thank you so much. Thank you to all my friends and family who might be watching. Thank you guys for having me. I'm honored. I think it's a beautiful platform. And I do hope more people participate in this platform. It'll be awesome if we can get, more. I want more. Give me all of it.
And we want to keep up with what you're doing, because one of the things that the Smith Council is in the mission to do is to support our artists. We want to see you win in all ways possible. So that's why I said, what kind of sponsorship are you looking for? How can we support you and your practice? And if this is the beginning of a broader scope for what you want to do with your practice, by all means.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just getting warmed up. I want the Kodak sponsorship. I want Leica. And I would love to do some key art on television programming. So
nice. And all we're getting are thank yous and what amazing work. Thank you for sharing your beautiful photographs. Breathtakingly beautiful. Thank you. Lots of thank yous. And I thank you very much for joining us this evening. This has been great, Schaun Champion.
Thank you.
So I think we're going to throw it back to Dave to go back to Rose on our membership. So Dave.
Rose, why don't you, I'll go after you and I'll close this out about next month, but I'm going to toss it to you right now.
Okay. And I would like to thank everyone for showing up tonight. And I hope you enjoyed this wonderful presentation featuring Schaun Champion. And please join us in our mission to broaden the public experience of contemporary art and to promote arts and to expand the resources and activities at BMA. And to join us, you can go to artbma.org/JJC, or you can call 443-573-1789. And we look forward to you coming back again. And thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you, Rose. Is that my office number? I don't know it by heart, but I was. So, folks, again, I'm Dave Issa, Manager of Community Engagement at the BMA. Please join us, gather with us. Schaun, thank you so much for everything you brought to us this evening and everything that you do every day. Next month, we are looking forward to hearing from Thomas James, visual arts curator, and seemingly does everything everywhere at the Creative Alliance and UB Blake and further, is going to be in conversation with Marjoni Merriweather, who is a resident artist at Creative Alliance and a really amazing sculptor. That will happen Thursday, April 8th at 6:30 p.m. right here again. And if you have any questions about what we do or how you could join and help with us, feel free to reach out to, I believe was my office line, or email us. We'd love to have you. And thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you all and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.